back to the channel. We are not out yet, so it's a gear review week. Hope you enjoyed last week's lost footage that we never got to release. So this week I've been trying to get this done for a while now. Some of y'all asked about our power setup when we are off grid, which is most of the time we're not using electric anywhere. So we have the Renogy solar suitcase. It's a 200 watt, the Eclipse version, the better cells. I believe it was around 400 or 500. I will look up the link and put it in the description. It has a solar charge controller built into it, and that's what you need to regulate the power that's coming in. And we've had it about 2 years now. We used it. It's 200 watts, like I said. It draws power in the shade, even if you don't have full sun. It's enough to keep the teardrop topped off, and we will power our refrigerator, cooler with it, and just about everything else. We can plug everything into the camper and then power and recharge the camper battery through the solar cells. So it's a really nice portable solution. I feel like it's better than a fixed panel that's attached because you can move it around. You don't know how your campsite's going to be set up, trees, blocking the sun, and we can move it around during the day and chase the sun. So also we have our Max Oak Bluetti EB150. It's a 1,000 watt solar generator, basically battery, lithium. We've also had this one about 2 years. This stays usually in the back seat of the truck with the refrigerator cooler and powers that most of the time when we're not at an electric site, which is most of the time. We will also plug in recharge all our camera, drone, and let me tell you, filming requires, and you guys know I love my cameras and everything, so we're recharging cell phones, 2 drones, like 6 different camera batteries, GoPros, DJI Action 2 camera, just about everything. It will typically last 4 days. You can stretch it to 5 depending on how much power you're using. The biggest thing will be the refrigerator and how hot it is. If it's running a lot, it will use up most of the battery. It'll use about 20% of it per day. It is pretty heavy. It's 38 pounds. At the time we got this, Jackery did not have anything bigger than a 500 watt, or we may have gone with them. Jackery's the bigger name in the business, but you can't go wrong with Bluetti, and I don't regret it at all because it was the bigger solution at the time. We can also use it in our house if the power goes out, through a storm or something. We can run our computers and modem and stuff like that. It'll power your refrigerator in your house if you need to for a day or two. And then if you combine that with the solar panels, it really comes in handy. However, these solar panels, this has a built-in charge controller in it, so you cannot recharge this with those panels. You need just a basic set of panels, which are actually cheaper, which we haven't gotten yet. We may look into that, and then you can recharge this with the solar. Otherwise, the one drawback of this, Jackery has an advantage. This cannot be charged via the DC plug in the truck. This has to be plugged into a 110 volts or through solar. So when it's dead usually on the road. But we usually, for most of our trips, we're out 2, 3, 4 nights at the most, and it's usually it's 2 or 3 nights. It usually lasts the entire weekend, and we have no problem with it. When we're driving, we'll just switch the refrigerator and power it off the truck, so this thing's resting. Primarily, though, this was used to recharge all our phones, cameras, computers, drones, stuff like that. If the weather's cool enough, then the refrigerator barely uses any power. So it's got a DC plug on the front of it that you can charge stuff with that. It's got 4 USB and then 1 USB-C. You can turn it on, then you turn the DC power on, then you turn the AC power on. So AC, you can plug in, it's got 210 outlets on the back to plug stuff in that way and charge it that way. It's really a good unit. I think it was right around $1,000. We've had it almost 2 years. It's still holding up great. It takes a full charge. I know over time that they won't recharge back to a full 100%, but I'm sure we'll get at least 5 years out of it, maybe more Very heavy duty. I don't keep it out in the rain. We will have it out sometimes by the camper if we need to, or we were at Mohican and filming all over the place, and I had to just power the camera off of this directly because the batteries went down. I didn't keep an eye on them, so you can move it around. It is fairly heavy, but it's not unbearable. So I would definitely buy it again. The only drawback, they have newer units now which have more options, and smaller versions. There's bigger and smaller, but they're a good company. If you look at the Solar Guy, I think is his name on YouTube, he reviews all this stuff, and it's a good unit. So you can't go wrong with Bluetti. Jackery's the bigger name. They're probably more marketed by overlanders and everybody out there, but I'd take this any day. You can't go wrong with either one. Solar panels, and we were out at Grand Canyon last year, I believe it was, that was a 2-week trip, and most of the nights on the road we did not have electric at a campsite, and then at Grand Canyon at the North Rim there's no power there, so we were there 5 days. Yeah, we were there 5 nights and powered everything. The camper stayed recharged and everything with the solar panel. It is, I feel like you can get away with 100 watt, but if you're gonna get something, I would start at 200 watts if you can. Just invest the money, because you'll get stuff charged up faster. And I highly recommend the solar suitcase style because it's very portable. It's got a handle up here, nice case that it comes with. We throw it in on the bed of the teardropper, and that's how we transport it. Usually we don't use it in winter because it's just not needed. We're not trying to keep food cold in winter because it's cold enough already. We're trying to keep it from freezing. So it does come with alligator clips that you hook onto your battery, and then it's got the solar plug that goes into the charge controller, which I'll show you, and that's how you hook it right into your camper or whatever battery you have that you want charged up. The camper does have a direct port, but we just use the alligator clips. It's easier that way. You have to get an adapter to go right into the plug that's on the camper. So this comes in a nice little case, a little bag. I don't have it out right now. I think it's somewhere in the camper. I don't know the weight of this. I'll have to look it up, or I'll just put the link online to their site. Renogy's a good company. They again are not the most popular brand. I think Z-Amp is the more popular one, but they're also the more expensive one, and you cannot go wrong with Renogy. They make good products. They have a lot of different varieties of solar stuff. So it's got a nice metal handle, just like a suitcase. And as you can see, I will put up just a few weeks ago when we were at Big Bay State Park. It wasn't even very sunny that day, and we were running it and still getting enough power to keep the battery topped off in the camper. So it's got nice zippers. It's a real nice carrying case. Really sturdy. It's got 2 little clips. So there it is in a nutshell. Folds out. You can see the charge controller here built in. Here's the other plug, which you plug the other end of the cable into from the battery. It's got adjustable legs so you can vary the height or whatever you want to do depending on where you're at. Just tighten them with the knobs, and then you're just hooking it up to your camper battery or whatever battery you want charged. Not sure you can see this, but it's reading so the battery is reading 12.7 volts. It's fully charged, obviously. It's got an amp volt button, and so if you hit that, it'll tell you how many amps it's drawing from the sun. Right now it's at 1.6 amps. It's kind of cloudy and it's not getting perfect. I should have it lower, but so it's also got a battery type button, but it should sense what kind of battery you have it hooked up to. And so this is the Voyager solar charge controller that comes with it. If you get a good package, this kit, it comes with the solar charge controller. Now you can buy the panels without it, and that's what we would need to charge the Bluetti, because it has its own built-in solar charge converter. But then you'd have to buy a solar charge controller separately if you just had the panels. So it's a better deal if you can get it all at one time. There you can see it's drawing 1.4 amps. You know, if you're at peak sun, you're going to get a lot more than that. So, but this shows you that even in the shade, you can get some power. It also will tell you the amp hours if you're using power at the same time, which we're not. And there's the voltage of the battery. The legs, as you can see, the adjustments, they're pretty sturdy knobs. It's a nice sturdy setup. It's not chintzy at all. So, pretty much, you know, that's all there is to it. I know a lot of people are afraid of power and stuff. They don't really understand it, or they don't know what they need. It's not that complicated. The great thing is, like I said, is we can use this at the house. If we lived in Florida 23 years, and back in 04, when there was about three hurricanes came up the middle of the state, all within 2 months, in July, August, September, we were without power for over 2 weeks, and it was, you know, dead middle of the summer, Central Florida, and we didn't have anything like this back then. We weren't really camping, so we tried to stay at home. The other option is you go buy a generator, gas generator, and then you gotta have gas, which nowadays, you know how that is, that's not cheap. But so we ended up having to find a hotel after a few days because it was just unbearable. You can't sleep. I mean, but had we had this setup, and with the way the world is today, you don't know what's gonna happen. You know, everyone takes for granted power, and so if power goes down, I mean, we can run a refrigerator, we can run basic stuff, lights, fans. It's not gonna run, you're not gonna be able to do anything with a microwave or stuff like that. But if you need just basic power, recharge your phone indefinitely. So like if we decide one day, which we will, if we want to go out somewhere way out west or way up north in Canada, and if we want to live somewhere off the grid for weeks or a month at a time, we can manage. This panel will keep you going. So you just gotta undo the legs, push them back in, or it just stays tucked in here, the one that's attached. There's Velcro, which keeps the charge controller up against the thing when you close it. Just fold it in on itself. And there's the latches. If I had to guess, I'd say maybe 20 pounds. It's certainly not as heavy as the battery. In this case, we've had this, I usually have the case flat on the ground and then stand up the panels on top of the case just so they don't get muddy or anything like that. This case still is nice and black and looks as just about as good as it did when we got it 2 years ago. It's a pretty low profile. Now the Bluetti comes with a power cord to charge it in the house or at a 110. It also comes with a cable to plug it into solar panels, but like I said, you gotta have panels without a charge controller, and those are typically cheaper anyways. That's the one drawback. So it's 1500 watt hours and 1000 watts. It'll go 1200 watts surge power or startup power. So it has a MPPT charge controller built in. The MPPT is more efficient and charges it up faster versus the other kind, which is a PWM. Like I said, both of these are great solutions. You can get, it's a little bit of money, maybe 1500 total for both. There's smaller versions of this and newer ones now, and or larger. Just depends on what you want. If you want to, you could probably run a little cabin in the woods with this setup. For most things, depends on what kind of power you need. This will run a TV or stuff like that, coffee. I mean, we're running our Iceco 60 watt fridge off of it, and it keeps it going the whole weekend. So it'll recharge. If you're just using it to charge up phones and laptops, drones, and cameras and stuff, you could probably get a week off of it. I've had some. I think I left the fridge plugged into it in the garage as a test, and it did make it 5 days. It just depends on how hot it is outside and how much the fridge compressor is running. Both are highly portable, and that's what I like. So Well, this is going to be the end of this one. Short little gear review, but it's definitely important, you know. Power solutions are important. They're a little bit of money, but it's stuff that's long-term investment. If you keep the things nice, it should last. I mean, I would expect we could get at least 5 years out of this setup, maybe more. Um, there is a limited number of charge cycles on lithium batteries, but I don't think we'll even come close to that for a long time. So, anyways, we are, as you can see, the truck bed is half loaded. We are heading out tomorrow for a fun weekend with some friends. A couple of surprises coming for you. So it's going to be a great time. Kind of itching to get back out there. We stayed home a couple of weeks just to kind of recover and get everything reset for the second half of the summer and the second half of the year. I'm actually kind of starting to think about fall and winter camping. I hate to say that because it's going to be freezing out, but it's kind of humid and hot right now. This is not my season. But we're heading up north, and it's going to be beautiful weather, and we will see you there and see you next week. So please, if this video helped you at all, one thing we don't ask a lot is we're not asking you to subscribe, but we would like you to subscribe. We're drawing closer to that 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube, and that's a big milestone. It's a big deal. So we're trying to get there. Please help us. Like and subscribe. Share it. Follow. Instagram, Facebook. Anyways, guys, really appreciate you watching and joining us again. Hope you had a safe holiday, and we hope you have a great weekend. We will see you guys next week.